Good morning, everyone. We are going to start. Welcome to this joint class of the Earth Keepers St. Andrew, led by Captain Kilmer, who will speak in a minute, and the Contemporary Issues Adult Sunday School class, which I lead in student basket, at 10:30 every Sunday, back in room 250 by the small cabin. Give a little plug to our group too. But we are pleased today to have a good environmental topic discussion led by Jan Rose, climate organization. And she's going to tell us more about how to be energy efficient pumps in particular. And she's going to speak and show slides and then take questions at the end of the presentation. Our usual announcements, we have some Zoomers over here. Laptop, welcome our Zoomers. Please mute yourself in the lower left corner of your screen, the background down, and we are recording this for future playback on YouTube. So those who are not here, we can watch this later on. And any other announcements? I don't think so, so I'll turn it over to Kathy Hill.
While I'm not in my head, there are so many people that are trying to create their church, trying to make their own types of things. And it's really exciting to see how much is going on here. And so I asked a couple of leaders in our group to speak about that. And Karen, would you come up and start us off? Karen's been doing a lot of research on solar and renewable energy.
Thanks, Kathy. Hi, my name is Carol Hope, and I've been part of a small group that's been researching how we can incorporate solar power to our church's electricity usage. We've been talking with experts in solar installation and financing, and also looking at our Excel energy bill. And that's where we found our biggest problem is that Excel energy bills a large portion of our bill is based on our demand use, which is a dollar amount based on the greatest kilowatt instantaneous use for that building cycle. So that's something that might or may not necessarily predictably be reduced by installing solar power. So we've been trying to get the data on when that peak occurs and how long it occurs for to see if we can change that. And we don't have a ton of use meter at the church privately. So we requested some money to install our own monitors. So we are going to be installing those so that we can get that data and see how we can use it to the benefit of the church. As far as putting solar panels on the roofs, we've also been providing solar installers. They're moving material. It's not really made to be walked on. It's installable and it's very delicate tile roof. So we're looking at options for maybe a solar system on that roof along with potential battery storage as well to use, not just to provide the usage, but to reduce our demand during those peak times. So it's a work in progress. Another thing that we've looked into is joining a community solar garden, and we would do that in a heartbeat if we could find somebody to accept us. So if any of you know of a community solar garden that is looking for a commercial customer, please talk to me. Or if you're also just interested in exploring ways to incorporate alternative or renewable energy to the church, please come talk to me.
Statement of the church, and you know that a lot of these grasses, a lot of green solitude is very thirsty. So he was going to tell you about what we're doing on landscape. So and that will take a little bit of money to go out to the and so identify some areas of stuff that are involved. So over the next few years, find native plants that will take much less water. So maybe improve the biodiversity a little bit, and support some pollinators. Work in progress in the years. Many of you probably know The native plants can take 3 to 5 years to fully expand. So once we start on the project, it would be 3 to 5 years before it's actually does not need any supplemental water. Establish the roots are from the ground. It's spring and summer, so if you like to garden, you can love that. I know where it's at, and I facilitated in Monday night at 6:30 book club for keepers and social justice issues. We are going to be starting with Robert Wall Timmermans, the service berry, on January 13th. We'll probably do just one session, maybe 2 on that. It's actually a little bit smaller than we expected. It's in the book note if anyone's interested in joining us. And then we'll go right into another read after that, which but it's open to everyone, so please join us. Monday night at 6:30, starting January 13th. Is the microphone working well? You have to be a rock star.
I am Monica Lee and Erica, I think Erica's just up here. We've been working on composting at the church, and you may know that back in March we started composting just coffee grounds, filters, and flowers. And at this point, we're up to 3,369 pounds of compost. And that's from the church, but that's also from the community, because we're a community drop-off location as well. So we're supporting that at the church for our community. We just, through generous donations from the facilities team and United Women of Faith, we just purchased 2 free-stream waste stations. So we can pull those in, they'll have composting, in them. So we can pull those in when we have events that want to support composting. And that's kind of how we've been gradually growing the church. When an event wants composting at their event, then we are supporting that event so they can do that. And the ways you can help is just educate yourself, ask Erica and I, what is compost? Please don't wish compost. That also goes with recycling, where we're focusing on cleaning up our recycling stream to help facilities, and so those items don't just end up being landfilled. Don't wish to recycle, and let us know if you have any questions about it. Erica has those questions, but we're trying to educate everyone about the team effort. Thank you.
More sustainable product in the home, and she has a special event for the holidays too. We all know that Christmas is wonderful times of the year. It's also close to thank you. It's also one of the most wasteful times of the year. On average, almost 3 billion more pounds of trash per week is generated during the holidays here in our country. It's food, wrapping, returns, a lot of things that are returned. 9 million packages within just a span of a few days that are returned. A lot of them end up in the landfill instead of back into the market. And over 2 million pounds of wrapping also. So, but no worries, there's so much that we can do about that. So we've got a table set up over in the atrium with some great ideas on sustainable gift giving ideas, different ways to wrap, to present gifts to people, different ideas instead of buying things. There's a lot of great ideas for experiences that we can give to people. If you got too many scarves or too much jewelry, re-gifting some of that to special people in your life. There's a lot of great ideas there. We have a QR code that we can show you guys that you can pull up for lots of ideas in our local areas too, places that sell more sustainable products that are made from materials that
So, we'd love to see you guys over there. A lot of great resources. Thank you.
So as you know, lots of ways to make our homes more sustainable and is through heat pumps. I don't know about you, but I have an 80-year-old house and trying to get off of gas heat is going to be an interesting problem for us, but it's something we're definitely looking at. The church itself could be looking at new heating and furnaces by about 2030. And so we want to be prepared as a church to install something that's more efficient and more climate friendly. So today we have Jan Rose with us. She's the legislative analyst and spokesperson for the Colorado Coalition for Global Climate. And she's a lead climate activist in our state legislature. Jan, we're so happy to have you here.
Just a quick announcement too for our Zoomers, they're having a hard time hearing, and that's because we're in Fellowship Hall, which has more echo. And I'm sorry, Zoomers, there's nothing we can do to fix settings for it. So if you need to listen later on the playback, that might be better for you. But we'll just use our big voices so we project well. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I have a big voice speaking without a microphone. I rarely use one, but I did use one today because it also is university. I'm Jan Rose. Kathy Kilmer told me a little bit about you. This presentation was actually created by Al Gore. I'm a member of Al Gore's nonprofit organization, and he created a slide deck to make the public aware of everything that was in the Inflation Reduction Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, commonly known as the BIL, also commonly known as IIJA, the Inflation Investment in Jobs Act. That is still the BIL. So lots of government acronyms in one is surprising. Mr. Gore trained us all on the features of these bills and then asked us to customize the presentation to reflect how our state is dealing with the opportunities available in these two bills. So this presentation will go over the federal tax credits available to you, which you can stack on top of the state credits. In most cases, roughly doubling the amount of credit that you get for decarbonizing things, cars, houses, etc. What your local governments can do to take advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act. So the one thing I want to say before we get started is that despite November, things are not as dire in the Inflation Reduction Act as you might think, because there's, lots of terms about deniers and hoaxes and silly stuff like that, when anyone with eyes and ears knows better. But 80% of the money in these two programs have gone to red states. Almost 30,000 new businesses have been created as a result of these two bills in less than 2 years. It's a phenomenal success story. Colorado alone has expanded its wind turbine factory, gotten awarded a solar panel factory, gotten awarded a battery factory, enhanced another battery factory for the next generation of electric vehicles, and it has been designated a quantum hub, which is a very fancy computer that we're going to need a lot more moving forward as we get into more advanced artificial intelligence, war fighting, things like that. So this is not going to be an easy law to kill, and it is a law. These are two laws. So Congress has to pass laws to change these existing laws, and Congress already has a big list of priorities, none of which are killing the Inflation Reduction Act. So we're pretty confident we got at least 2 years left of this program, but the program itself doesn't expire until 2032. So let's go into what these bills do. So why are, sorry, these could be hard with the microphone. Why are these bills so important? Because they have built into their premise that they want to promote environmental justice. So billions and billions.
Sorry, that was a
Uh,
Zoomer. Go ahead.
In Colorado, $1.1 billion went to Tri-State up in the high country to convert our coal-fired power plants to renewable energy. $1.1 billion delivered. A company in Colorado called Grid Alternatives delivered $500 million, $250 million to put solar in tribal communities, and $250 million to put solar on businesses, faith organizations, nonprofits, and community solar. So the state of Colorado has a lot of money. Dr. Hogg, the Denver Regional Council of Governments, got another $259 million for Solar for All, which again is a solar program to electrify businesses, government buildings, nonprofits, churches, schools within the 8 counties of Denver Regional Council of Governments. Colorado has a lot of money that's already been delivered that we are finding homes for right now. And all of those are predicated around things like environmental justice. Let's make sure we get you low-cost solar to replace your coal plant, right? So you don't choose natural gas. Let's get fair paying clean energy jobs. The Inflation Reduction Act has created 343,000 green jobs in 1.5 years. Killing this program is going to a lot and close down a lot of businesses. It's not a smart move if your goal is high levels of gross domestic product. And then finally, it's really turned the corner on addressing climate change and reducing emissions. So this is what we're going for. This is where I'm asking for your help. That everybody needs to demand of their institutions, of their schools, of the businesses that they patronize, of your local governments and your county commissioners. Demand that they take advantage of these programs and do it before the clock runs out in 2026, maybe, so that Colorado gets its fair share. So I think you all know this. It's not only the largest piece of climate legislation in the United States, it's actually the largest piece of climate legislation in the world. No country has passed a more aggressive set of goals. Now, with that being said, you're going to hear a lot about China as you go about talking to your friends and neighbors. So I just want to give you one tiny little factoid about China. China installs more solar every year than the entire installed inventory of United States solar. If you think China is building a bunch of coal plants, they are, because they got 2 billion people that they got to provide electricity to their homes and basic services like that. But they are also putting more solar on their grid every year than our entire install base. So China and India are moving much more rapidly than we are, even with all this money. So the Inflation Reduction Act has $369 billion to spend. And we have found homes for about 200 billion. So we have roughly half the program still to roll out. But the beauty of the Inflation Reduction Act is it doesn't have ceiling. We said we're going to spend at least 369 million. But there's no roof on this building. If we can find a way to spend $1 trillion, there is no artificial cap of money available through the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, the bipartisan infrastructure law is designed to bend the emissions curve by making sure that our future infrastructure is not fossil fuel dependent. So we want more electric school buses. We want more light rail. We want more multimodal transportation. We want bike lanes. We want sidewalks. We want all sorts of stuff that the bipartisan infrastructure law funds separate from the IRA. But they're nice and married. So these are the things that you can personally influence in the bipartisan infrastructure law. Public transit and clean energy, including transmission, et cetera. As you can see, the state of Colorado has already jumped all over what it can do, and that's why we got 1.1 million for country electricity needs, 259 million for the front range, the $500 million for the Rocky Mountain states, et cetera. Sorry, keep building. So $6 billion for passenger and freight rail. You may know that Colorado already received funding for the front range passenger rail program, which is the bill we passed in the legislature last year to finally get a train running between Longmont, actually, in Boulder County, and Union Station. And we're also running what's known as BRT, bus rapid transit, where we're electrifying corridors like Fairfax Avenue, which will have a center bus lane that runs every 7 minutes. So you're no longer sitting at a bus stop for half an hour waiting for the bus. $50 billion for climate resilience. This is the money that pays for after the flood and after the fire, right? How do we harden up our environment? And then 21.6 for environmental remediation, like plugging orphaned oil and gas wells. Colorado's gotten about $50 million to plug hundreds of orphaned wells that the oil and gas companies walked away from and just left in there, spewing pollutants. So part of the funding was previously authorized, but is now allocated specifically to the bipartisan infrastructure law so that it can't be picked apart. It now is all part of one thing called the BIL, which makes it harder to repeat. So this is all the money. You guys probably know that the Mesa Reservoir problem, where we lost our bridge over Highway 50, that got funded replacements through the bipartisan infrastructure law. So you can see all the things. You can see the money for DIA's new transportation and security system in Concourse A. You can see, all sorts of money. And the things in green are the things that you can personally advocate for in your community. So I want you to take a minute to look at things that you can request, like your community electrifies its fleet of vehicles. Your police cars are electric. There's environmental remediation of brown fields, Superfund sites, and things like that. The power grids. We passed a law last year allowing for something called a virtual power plant, where you can put up to 200% of the solar that you personally consume. You can put 200% on your roof and sell the excess money back to Xcel Energy. And Xcel Energy is required to buy it from you at wholesale rates. So you get paid about 4.9 cents a kilowatt hour. The president of Sunrun gave a presentation a week ago that there's a guy in Colorado with a Ford F-150 Lightning, sweetest electric vehicle, maybe this Ford F-150 Lightning has an enormous battery that can actually power the grid directly in addition to powering your home and power yourself. There's a guy in Colorado who makes $1,700 a month selling access to his truck battery from Xcel. That blew my heart. That's the purpose of virtual power plants, is you own the power. They have to buy your power. So you're going to see in a later show or slide that Xcel offers multiple programs because it wants access to your power. Because if enough of you provide power, it doesn't have to build a new gas plant, right? Save a ton of money. Okay, so I went over this mostly, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because the point is we're trying to get rid of coal And Colorado will have closed its last coal plant by the end of 2030. That's well, that's three coal plants, one of which has closed, one of which will close in 2026, and the third of which will close in 2030. And it gets none of its power from those coal plants. So it gets all the pollution, none of the benefits. So a crying shame what the people of Pueblo have been put through for the benefit of Colorado's grid over the course of the last 4 years. Okay, so I already told you about the electrical offsets to try to save money. And then new community reinvestment, we're shutting down the Comanche coal plant, which is out in Brighton, I think. And it's being replaced by solar plus batteries. We're testing new battery technology down in Colorado Springs that can run for 100 hours. So, you know, people used to say, well, solar doesn't work when the sun isn't shining. Well, the sun could not shine for 4 days, and those batteries will still keep operating. So that's a game changer for how we can keep the grid operating without fossil fuels. And then finally, clean energy manufacturing. You probably know that the cement plant in Pueblo already converted everything from its butt smelter to solar. So it is considered the first carbon-free, well, that's kind of why, but we're working on a program to stick the rest of their carbon in the ground and store it there. So it really is a carbon-free system. So let's look at where Colorado is positioned. I don't give a lot of credit to Governor Willis because as a climate analyst, he drives me crazy, but look at what he did. Look at what our senators and our congressional representatives did in terms of positioning Colorado. We got a little bit of everything and more. So, you know, this is where our solar panel plant and our battery factory and our wind turbine plant and all of that stuff comes into play. Is that Colorado positioned itself well to take advantage of all of these resources. But the important question is, how does it benefit you personally? How can we lower your utility costs and reduce your carbon footprint, the amount of carbon you're personally replacing, that you're personally responsible for? So this is my favorite joyful part of the speech. Colorado has the most aggressive tax incentives in the nation. We just beat California for the most electric vehicle sales, 25.3%. 1 out of every 4 cars in Colorado. You're about to find out why. So let's take a look at the incentives that you can stack on top of the federal credit. Okay, not in replacement stuff. This is in addition to the federal credit. You also get the following state credits. So let's take a look. First of all, this program began in 2022, but I'm going to be looking at the part of the slide, that last column that says ends in 2032. So your left column here is all the things that you get a discount on. Hunter Douglas even makes a kind of line that is so energy efficient, you can get a tax credit for installing a specific Hunter Douglas line. You can get it for increasing the R factor of your insulation in your house. You can get it for new storm windows. It's just an endless parade of tax incentives that you can qualify for at the federal level. And then all that text in red are additional state credits over and above the federal credits. So for heat pumps, you get $3,000 off a ground source heat pump. That's a heat pump where you drill down into the ground about 30 feet. The ground temperature is always 55 degrees in our state. And so what you do is a ground source heat pump uses that 55-degree air to cool your house in the summer, and then heats that 55 degrees to whatever your thermostat is set at to heat your house in the winter. So all heat pumps are both air conditioners and furnaces, okay? So no need to buy central air and to also buy a heat pump. A cold climate heat pump does both. Additionally, you should always get a cold climate heat pump because at least for a few more years, we still have those 3 days in a row in which, in which it's gonna blow up your sprinklers, right? In which it's, 0 degrees or something like that, where you don't want your house to, churn so much electricity trying to heat up the outside air for an air source heat pump. An air source heat pump is obviously cheaper because you don't have to drill down into the ground. So for that, you get $2,000 off in addition to the 30% federal tax credit. So the average cost, the Inflation Reduction Act also covers discounts on the electricity upgrades you need because you now need a new 240 volt outlet. You might need an electric panel upgrade because maybe your house is maxed out. So the Inflation Reduction Act covers discounts on that as well. The company that I recommend for residential work on heat pumps is a company called Elephant Energy, because that is all they do. Elephant Energy does nothing but, well, maybe they do more, but they just do all the heat pumps. And I couldn't recommend them more strongly because when they put your quote together, they put all the federal incentives and all the state incentives together and get you your discount for you. So you don't have to file it on your taxes and give you that credits off the purchase price going in. So it cuts your cost of a heat pump in about when Elephant combines all these tax credits for you. So if you go to an HVAC person that can't give you a quote with your federal and your state tax credits, then you might have picked the wrong HVAC person to do your heat pump install. And just for people who don't know, a heat pump looks like a central air conditioning unit. It's a box that sits on the outside of your house with with electrical conduit, just like an air conditioner does, to feed to your main electric panel to run your heat pump. So you would swap your central air for a heat pump, and then you would disconnect your gas line because your heat pump would replace both your central air and your furnace. Okay, so these are all the state and federal credits that you get, and they really add up. Maine matched our deal for heat pumps, and 60% of all new furnaces in Maine are in fact heat pumps, full climate heat pumps, instead of gas or oil furnaces. They use a lot of heating oil in New England and yucky stuff. So all the other things that you get, heat pump, water heaters, and I'm sure you're not going to put in a wind turbine, but you might end up sticking a wind turbine on your lid somewhere instead of solar. Efficient air conditioners, like window-based air conditioners. I don't know if you can see, I'm probably blocking it, the code is blocking it, but there's a whole bunch of energy efficiency upgrades that apply. So you're going to want to choose an electrician or an HVAC guy that understands these things and give you these quotes. And then I mentioned 100 ducts blinds. So you've got, electric panel upgrades, insulation, windows, exterior doors. Your home energy audit is always free through Excel Energy, costs $75. Normally, Excel will give it to you for free. It tells you how to prioritize which of these tax credits you should do on your home first. Generally, you should do as much of these as you can before you install your heat pump, so your heat pump runs the most efficient. And this is why it's important that this deal is good till 2032, because maybe this year you do windows and doors, next year you do heat pumps, or next year you do insulation of blinds, the year after that you do heat pumps. Okay, so that's up to you as to how you want to space it out, but the discounts won't go away until Congress repeals the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, so you also get 30% of the cost of an electric vehicle charger. But if you buy a Ford, we have 2 more questions till the end because I got 11:30 hard stop. I can provide copies of the slide, yes. So the electric vehicle charger, if you buy a Ford Mustang, which is all electric, or a Ford F-150 Lightning, They will give you up to $1,800 for installation of your charger, and they will give you the charger in the purchase price of the car. That is a deal that comes with every Ford electric vehicle. Xcel Energy will also provide you with a battery charger if it can do what the F-150 guy I told you about that gets paid $1,700. Xcel Energy will provide you with a charger that allows them to come in and say, I need extra power. You steal a little from your battery. And their Battery Connect program just got refunded for 2025. And they will pay you for every kilowatt they borrow from your electric vehicle. And then they will return that power when the grid, has excess energy and they can return your power. So there's so many ways to make money and so many ways to save money. So the rewards program is Xcel's goal to get more power from the grid by putting on the roof instead of building a $350 million gas plant. So if you're an Xcel customer, make sure that you talk to them at the same time you are talking to solar installers, or make sure your solar installer knows what Xcel is offering and can give you the pros and cons. Because the pro is you get paid. The con is Xcel gets control. You want to give Xcel control. They promise they will never take more than 60% of your car battery. What if you need somebody to drive it a long distance and they come in and take it 60% of your battery power? Now you got 40% charge. On the other hand, if you pay $1,700, you get that also drive the solar back, right? So Renewable Battery Connect is that program I was telling you about, where Xcel pays you come across the wire, steal a little bit of your car battery, return it when they have excess. All right, so let's talk a little bit about electric vehicles. There's a reason why 25.3% of all cars in Colorado are electric vehicles, because you get a federal tax credit of up to $7,500. You've probably heard stories about child labor, conflict materials, and all this, anti-electric vehicle stuff. So what the Inflation Reduction Act did is it set up the maximum discount, the full $7,500 for cars that are made here, assembled here, and whose battery components come from our most favored nation trading partners, generally Canada and Mexico. So if the car meets all of those things, you get $7,500 off. If it's not made in America, like it's a Volvo, then you only get $3,750 off, because this is supposed to be an American-centric act. So I will help you out with which cars qualify for how much everything. But I want to point out that there's lots and lots of used electric vehicles on the market. And for a used electric vehicle, as long as you're the first person to buy it from the original owner, you can get $4,000 off used car. So I was looking up used EVs the other night for like $19K minus $4,000. This is a great deal on an electric car. So these are the cars, some of these I've never even heard of. These are the cars that qualify for the tax credits. So you can see there's a large degree of cars. I know that Lordstown is in Ohio, but I don't know who Lordstown is. So I've never heard of VinFast, but this is on the federal economy.gov site. So you can see lots and lots of cars. The Hyundai Ioniq are my friends' favorite cars. They like Rivians too, but the reason my friends love their Hyundai Ioniqs is that they get almost 300 mile range and they power your house. They act like a battery. So you don't need to buy a whole battery because your car can power your house. So very useful feature known as vehicle to load, V2L. So let's look at some of these vehicles. So again, you can see The BMW is not manufactured in America, it only gets 37 credit. All the others are manufactured, assembled, and get their battery components from the United States favored nation status. So you get all those tax credits. And a bunch more. The cars can max out at $80,000. All of that. If it's less than $35,000, which is a Tesla Model S, a Chevy Equinox, and something else, I forget which, maybe it's a Nissan Leaf, you get an extra $2,500 off. So it's like stack. So a few more cars here, a few more cars, and then 7,500. You can see lots and lots of SUVs and things like that. No shortage of car types. However, in 2024, oh yeah, so this year, the tax credits became dealer assignable, which was just like I was telling you about with Elephant Energy. You go to your dealer, and they take the $7,500 federal credit, the $5,000 state credit, so they give you $12,500 off. So they'll all be under $35,000, the extra $2,500 off. And they take that all off the purchase price of the car. So a Nissan Leaf right now, leases, because it's applied to both purchase and leases. So if you're not sure you want to own an EV, you can lease an EV and get the same deal. That is heck. I mean, that's just heck. So a Nissan Leaf, which only has about 150-mile range, so it's great for your city car, you know what I mean, for your city driving car, you can get a Nissan Leaf for less than $100 a month. Pretty unbelievable. Okay, so here's what it all adds up to. So you get $7,500 for the best federal credit, $5,000 for the best state credit. Oh, sorry. And then if you're trading in an old car, you can get up to $6,000 if it's a 2011 or super older car. So now I have 7,500 plus 5,000 plus the 2,500 plus the 6,000. Is it any wonder Colorado is selling more EVs than any state in the nation? This is why. So don't forget the vehicle exchange program. You can go to the state of Colorado website and it will tell you if your car qualifies and how much it qualifies for. So, you know, if it's failed an emission test, immediate full $6,000. Okay, so that's what people worry about. So now you have a huge amount of money, you know, for an EV. But now people worry about where can I charge it? Well, obviously you got your home charger, which you know, which Excel will put in for you. But the state has put in millions and millions of dollars to create more than, I believe we're up to 5,500 EV chargers on various state networks. So there's that. There's that. There's the high-end Chevy Equinox at $30,695. You got yourself a brand new 2024 Chevy Equinox for $9,695.
Wow.
An amazing deal. The Ford F-150 Lightning, which is an $80,000 car, gets a $7,500 Fed credit if it's a 1.5 ton. You know, if it's got the 6-wheel Ford F-150, then it qualifies for a $12,000 credit for being a medium duty truck. So the baseline F-150 only gets $7,500, but the super duper, you know, farmer's F-150 gets $12,000 off the state, plus you trade in your old Ram 1500 with the rusty sides. And now we started out with $49,995, you get $25,500 off. you could buy a new F-150 souped up Lightning for $24,995, for which the state will pay you $1,700 a month if you borrow your battery. So you basically drive around an F-150 for free. Okay, so again, this applies for purchase or lease. The car can't cost more than $80,000. You personally can't make more than $150,000. And collectively, you and your spouse cannot make more than $300,000 a year. If that's the qualifications, you get the tax credit. And here I am over, you get a credit, you get a credit. So everybody gets a credit. Then up to $1,300 off the price of an EV charger from Excel. I got my EV charger for free because I signed up for a program that would give it to me for free if I made it a public charging station. So my charger is outside my garage, and you can pull up into my driveway, hit my barcode, turn on my charger, and charge part of my house for free while the sun is shining because I have an 8,600 kilowatt solar panel. Oh, I pretty much cover my charging. So, you know, just again, some of the deals that are available. Pay as you go, these are 3 different types of EV charging station programs you can choose from, depending upon how much control you want to give Excel over your charging. These are the charging stations in the state, and I know what podium is kind of blocking it here, but more than 40 companies offer fast charging now, and Rivian is putting an EV charger in every state park. So you can go hiking at a state park and charge your car. It's great. Now I mentioned that dealers will take your credit for you and work those into your purchase price. So let me just whip through the many dealers in the state that will take care of all of this for you. So all you do is walk in, you know, show them a copy. Most of the time, you don't even have to show them the first page of your tax return for last year. You just say, I guarantee you want to make less than $150K. And they say, okay, because the feds will find you if you didn't, right? So it's not their job to see. Okay, so we give dealers $600 to process all their paperwork. That's why they do it, because they get paid to process their paperwork. Because we thought about it, and we wouldn't do it for free. So we paid. That's why we go to a dealer that can do this for you, because they're getting paid to do it. And you can buy however many EVs you want. You can buy one for every member of your family. There is no limit on the number of EVs. You just can't claim the credit twice for you personally, because you cannot drive 2 cars at the same time. So only 1 EV per person, as many as you like in your house. And EVs cost on average 31% less in maintenance, because mostly you just replace the tires quite frequently, because they use what's known as regenerative braking. Every time you brake, it adds charge to your battery. So you lose a lot of battery going up the Eisenhower tunnel, then you gain a lot of battery going down the Eisenhower tunnel. So there's some examples of various ranges of EVs that you can choose from. Here's a bunch of 10 EVs that are under $40,000. So you can get a sense of how many electric cars there are. They're really affordable cars. A few more. And the bad news. The $5,000 tax credit drops to $5,500. But California has already announced that if they kill off the $7,500 federal credit, then California will match that credit for its citizens. Our governor personally ran the $5,000 credit bill that drops to $3,500. It's my guess that if Trump immediately kills the federal EV tax credit, we will try to find the money in the budget to keep that $5,000 credit going. But if you want an EV, y'all best get it back. We know the federal tax credit will remain. There's also e-bikes for a heck of a deal. City of Denver offers some great programs on electric bikes, but the state liked it so much it adopted the Denver bike program and made it statewide. So now it applies to everybody in the state. In the state's situation, you have to make 80% or less of the area median income, which is something like $79,000 for Jefferson County. I mean, it's a significant income. So you have to be 18 years of age or older, and you have to be at 80% equivalent of the area median income. So in Eagle County, you have to make less than $85,200 a year. So every city employee qualified. That's correct. Every teacher, every bus driver, a lot of people live in Eagle County. And you also get 30% off electric lawn equipment. And my weed whacker and my mower are electric. I never loved them. My mower turns on every single time, every single time. And it's so much quieter than a gas one, and it's not stinky, and it's just everything about it is fabulous. But the most fabulous thing is there's no crack. Love that, love that. So, the thing I want to point out is that this is what your gas-powered leaf blower is doing to the planet. I argue that there is no planetary need for leaf blowers anymore. You know, there's lots and lots of experience that we have on the value of letting that become carbon for your lawn and of overwintering insects that hide in your leaves. And it's all a bunch of peer pressure from your neighbors as to why you have to rake your leaves and just stop raking your leaves. But I mow my leaves because that way it shoots them all up, you know, helps them get into the mulch of my lawn. So the last mow of the year that I do is always after the leaves fall, so that it can become one with my lawn. So running a gas-powered lawnmower for 1 hour, it's the same amount of pollution as driving a sedan for 300 miles. That's a lot of carbon you're putting in the air. And why do we care about that? Because the solution to the climate crisis lies with us. All of us collectively can make a huge dent in the carbon footprint of the United States. And it will never be cheaper to decarbonize your house than it is right now. So call Open Energy and get a quote by the end of the year. Even if they can't put it until May, that quote is good. So get popping, make a plan, go out and buy the DVD. Rental, I mean, lease, Nissan Leaf for $100. You can do it. Because there are places in Colorado to help you. There's Go Electric Colorado, which will help you to figure out the heat pumps, the windows, the insulation, and all that stuff. Make sure you're choosing products that qualify for the federal tax rate, and they're a nonprofit, they do it for free. Drive Electric Colorado helps you figure out the tax rebates on electric vehicles. EV Co is the state's electric vehicle website. So it tells you what the state credits are and where the charging stations are and how many charging stations we have and all that neat stuff. And the White House, if it hasn't done that as well, it will until January 20th. I think we can safely say that this website will disappear. So we have lots of resources that are free that you can take advantage of today. Because if we don't have a livable planet, no other issue matters. Thank you very much. Hello, by 11:22, Steve.
Good job.
Would you like to take questions now?
Yes.
ready to get my Nissan Leaf for $100. May give the microphone over to the people here.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I am very enthusiastic now. I don't feel like our folks got it totally collect.
I know it's a choice.
Not the next 6 months. We'll be in the figures to eat. Do plug-in hybrids, are they considered electric vehicles?
Yes, if it plugs in, it qualifies.
Even if the EV plug-in is only 35-mile range, that still counts.
Yep, Priuses count, they plug in.
Awesome.
Yep. Roads don't count. They just regenerative brake and give you 25 amps of electric charge, but they do not plug in. So it must be a plug-in or an all-electric.
You buy and then give it to one of your kids so it's another state. Still get all the.
Does your kid, go to school out of state or do they just, well, I mean, remember that you won't qualify once. So if you give this deal to your kid, you don't get your own electric vehicle. So there's a downside, but there's nothing that prevents you from reselling your car. It's the car like any other car.
What do you think about Trump's pledge to roll back the law and cut down on green programs? Do you think he'll really follow through with that, or was it just a campaign rhetoric strategy?
Well, there's a couple of schools of thought, but I will tell you what my friends in the federal government are telling me. Elon Musk believes that the $7,500 federal credit helps his competitors more than it helps him. So Elon is betting that if he takes away the federal credit, he'll keep having Tesla purchases, but all the other EV manufacturers will be decimated. There's a guy looking out for the best interests of our country. Isn't it? I love that Department of Elon efficiency. So, you know, Trump has been very quick to say that electric vehicles or, I don't know, China's going to eat our lunch or whatever deal is. So there's a lot of sense that there's this executive branch feature called impoundment, where you can violate the Constitution and refuse to deliver money that Congress has appropriated for a specific program. Congress has appropriated this money. In theory, cannot prevent it. It's not a regulation, it's a law. But I believe he will attempt impoundment for electric vehicles. So I anticipate that he will attempt to make that tax credit go away promptly. And I anticipate that he will promptly be sued. And, you know, let's not forget that 85 environmental regulations rolled back, got tied up in federal court for years for the entire length of his presidency. Because that's how we fight back. There's a whole bunch of environmental organizations, most notably the National Resources Defense Fund, that will be fighting in his attempt to impound the tax credit. As with the Inflation Reduction Act, we don't anticipate that it will see a congressional modification until 2026 because of the other legislative priorities, particularly mass deportations, securing the border, cutting the Affordable Care Act, modifying Social Security and Medicare, killing food stamps. You know, those are his announced immediate priorities. Inflation Reduction Act isn't. So, and 2026 is an election year when 80% of the money went to red states. Good luck trying to shut down those factories that are built.
More questions, comments? Okay, let me go over to the person here.
I heard on the news that Colorado had maxed out on the rebates that they're giving for EVs and that.
Xcel Energy maxed out on its Battery Connect program, and it already has gone to the PUC and gotten even more money for next year. So $7 million to buy electric vehicle chargers, which are roughly $1,000 each. So that's a lot of EV chargers. So, yeah, as to the state of Colorado, no, the governor replenished the funding for the EV tax credits this summer.
I wonder if we could. Because we don't. All serve. There, so basically, anytime you. It's.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just wondering how this, what do you think? If you did go. Would it still?
Yeah. I'm gonna answer this question from a residential point of view, because commercially, there's demand charges and net meters and stuff like that, that make it much more complicated equation. But for homeowners like us, we had all of us net meters installed. With my solar array, I produce vast quantities of solar in the morning, which is also straight. So it is not, I don't get paid a lot of money for the solar I send back to the grid in the morning, because it's already priced at its lowest rate. So I need a home battery, because my solar, as the sun moves across the sky, gets less and less input as the hours of the day go on. And I really want my solar to feed my house during peak hours. So for me, a home battery makes sense using the Battery Connect program from Excel. Because if I don't need my power, if I'm going skiing, if I'm camping for the weekend, whatever it is that I'm not using power, I want Excel to pay me for the power they borrow from me. So that's, so I personally counsel everyone who has not yet put solar on their house, absolutely put a battery there too. It's like half the price, it's like $3,500. The opportunity to keep your power on when the power gets shut off, and the opportunity to sell your excess power back to the grid is an unbeatable combination of benefits.
It's 11:28, we're close to 11:30. Last question from Robin. Okay. Robin, okay, two more questions. And then we'll have to let folks know it's 7:30, but you can stay and talk to Gina.
Yes, I'll be here. Yeah.
I used to own a Prius, and when I went to my country, I got a RAV4 is gas. I also have a little trailer that I would love to get a complete electric vehicle. Would I, when I headed up Georgetown Hill, with a trailer, what can I look forward to? That is, if that kind of thought what I should look into for, having trouble.
Okay, here's my, I have to put on a little bit of crystal ball here. Say, what do we do today? So Rivians and Ford F-150s can power your trailer. Joy, go anywhere you want. Your trailer gets powered by your vehicle, come home, never have to hook up to anything, never have to be in an RV park. It's sure, can't tell you how great these trucks are. These trucks also have super long range, so they'll get you a long ways without charging back again. But let's say trucks are not your thing. Then, you're gonna want something with decent range, somewhere in the 300-mile range. The reason I say that is that your range drops a lot when you're hauling weight. So a car rated at 159 miles, like a Nissan Leaf, would maybe get you to Golden Gate State Park. So you're gonna want a longer, mileage range vehicle in order to haul a trailer. But truly, the best thing going is the low end F-150, because of its many, many benefits and its ability to let you go anywhere.
Okay, last question, Rob.
Question, how do we get this information?
I will give a copy of this slide deck to Kathy, and Kathy will give it to anybody who wants it.
It's a lot of awesome information.
Yes, there's a ton of information, because I promised that this would be a joyful presentation. In what this is all about, and may us go forward and profit. We are passing on you to make this happen.
Learned a lot today. Thank you, Jan, for your time. And I'm gonna give Kathy the last word.
Yeah, we did learn a lot, Jen. Thank you for this joyful presentation. And thank you all for being here. And Jan, we can ask us more questions.
We'll get a copy to you, email it to you. Thank you so much, Jan.